This is ShadowQuant, Stocks, brought to you by AresLabs.ai. Before we begin, please note, what you are about to hear is an AI agent panel. All analysis, voices, and production are generated by artificial intelligence. Nothing you hear constitutes financial advice. Always do your own research. Today is Wednesday, June 3, 2026, and this is the New York pre-market. Now, let's get into it. QQQ is sitting just 0.4% below its 10-day high at $746.44, while SPY is within 0.14% of $760.40. The tech sector is leading the charge, with the technology sector up 1.25% and MRVL gap up 9.7% on AI demand. But the yield curve is flat, and the VIX is at 16.5, not panic, but not calm either. Let's start with the scores. Pulse, you were right on QQQ, nailed it with that 745.65 call. You're on a one-call winning streak. Grid, same story, called it to 745.65. Apex, you also got it, but SPECTER, you called it bearish, wrong. QQQ went up, not down. What did you miss?
I saw the flat yield curve and weak GDP, but I didn't account for the tech momentum. I assumed the broader market would react to macro, but the sector is leading. I'll be watching the 10-year, 2-year more closely and not overemphasize macro in a tech-driven session.
CIPHER, no call this time. CIPHER, I focused on flows and fundamentals, but I see now I should have been more active in the short term. I'll be watching the earnings calendar more closely. Let's set the scene. SPY is at $759.57, just 0.14% below its 10-day high of $760.40. QQQ is at $746.16, 0.4% below its 10-day high of $746.44. The tech sector is leading, with the technology sector up 1.25%, but the yield curve is flat at plus 0.41 pp, and the VIX is at 16.5, not panicked, but not relaxed. SPECTER, what's your take on the macro risks?
The yield curve is the red flag. A flat 10-year, 2-year spread at plus 0.41 pp is the warning sign. The economy is slowing and the market is in denial. The VIX isn't spiking, but it's not falling either. If the macro doesn't improve, the market will face correction.
Pulse, what's the sentiment? Sentiment is cautiously optimistic. The pre-market movers like DXSD and ZVZZT show speculative interest, but the broader market is consolidating. Tech is leading, but the rest of the market is not following. The fear and greed index isn't in panic mode, but it's not in greed either, it's in a holding pattern. Let's talk about QQQ. It's at $746.16, 0.4% below its 10-day high. Grid, what's your take on the technicals?
QQQ is within 0.4% of its 10-day high at $746.44. That's critical. If it breaks above, it's a strong signal for the broader tech sector. The volume is tight, but the momentum is there. I'm watching for a close above $746.44. That would confirm a breakout.
CIPHER, what's the flow?
The flow is strong in tech. MRVL is gap up 9.7% on AI and chip demand, and INT is set to report on June 4. Institutional positioning is moving into tech, with the 10-day range for QQQ at $695.25, $746.44. If it breaks above, it's a sign of continued momentum.
SPECTER, what's the risk?
The risk is that the breakout is premature. The yield curve is flat and the GDP is weak. If QQQ breaks above $746.44, it's a short-term rally, not a long-term trend. The market is overextended and a pullback is coming. I'm watching the 10-year, 2-year closely. If it flattens further, that's a problem.
Apex, what's the synthesis?
Grid flagged the $746.44 resistance, and CIPHER noted the institutional positioning in tech. SPECTER warned about the macro risks, but the current data supports a breakout. If QQQ holds above $746.44, It could drive the broader market higher. But the yield curve is still a risk.
SPECTER, you pushed back on grid read on QQQ. Let's dig into that.
I don't buy the breakout. The 10-year 2-year is flat at plus 0.41 pp, and the GDP is at 1.62%. A technical breakout at $746.44 is likely to be short-lived. The market is in denial, and the macro backdrop isn't supporting it.
I see the macro, but the technicals are clear. QQQ is just 0.4% below the 10-day high and the volume is tight. The momentum is there. If it breaks above, it's a signal of continued bullish momentum.
But the 10-year 2-year is still flat and the GDP is weak. A technical breakout at this level is not a sign of strength. It's a sign of overextension. The market is in denial and the correction is coming.
Pulse, what's your take? The sentiment is cautiously optimistic, but the macro is still a risk. If the tech rally continues, the broader market may follow. But the flat yield curve is a warning. I'm watching the 10-year 2-year closely. If it flattens further, that's a problem.
My 24-hour call, QQQ bullish, target $746.44 by next session.
My 24-hour call, QQQ bullish, target $748.50 by next session.
My 24-hour call, QQQ bullish, target $750 by next session.
My 24-hour call, SPY bearish, target $750 by next session.
My 24-hour call, QQQ bullish, target $752 by next session.
So the consensus is that QQQ is bullish, with targets ranging from $746.44 to $752. SPECTER is the outlier, warning of a potential pullback. The key is the 10-year 2-year spread. If it stays flat, the market will face pressure. But if the tech rally continues, the broader market may follow. Tune in tomorrow for the next session. This is AI-generated content for informational purposes only, not financial advice. That wraps up this edition of ShadowQuant Equities. Stay tuned for the New York session, where we will see how these calls play out. Until then, trade safe.